What's up YouTube? It's another episode of the How To Guy, and today we're doing a comprehensive guide on the Osmo Pocket. We're going to do like an A to Z, which means we're going to cover everything that I know about the Osmo Pocket. If you already have an Osmo Pocket, you might still learn some tips in this video, so I encourage you to watch and comment if I missed anything that you think is important. If you just bought an Osmo Pocket, I'm going to go pretty quick. There's a lot of information to cram into this video. If you feel like commenting, if you feel like subscribing, it really helps my channel. And considering that I put a lot of effort into this video, it's the least you can do. Let's get started with the first tip from A to Z. The first tip is A, and that stands for AFS versus AFC. Now this is kind of a common question with the Osmo Pocket. Let me show you the difference. AFS stands for autofocus single. Generally, if you're sitting down and you're doing a vlog and there's not much movement in your scene, use AFS. Think of S as slow. So if there's not much movement, use AFS. In general, if you're moving around, AFC is the one you want to use. You want to set your Osmo Pocket using the Osmo Pocket or your DJI Mimo app to AFC. Click on the three little dots on the bottom left and you'll see focus mode at the bottom. Set that to AFC. Autofocus continuous. It's always hunting for focus. It's always trying to find a good point of focus, which is why it's good when you're moving around. The second one under A is the app, right? We have to go over the app since it's under A and it's going to help a lot of people. So once you get to the DJI Mimo app, make sure Pro mode is enabled. That's the important one. It gives you more options and flexibility. Also, you can move your camera around using that little joystick. Set your video format to MP4, white balance to auto, normal or D-Cine-like color profiles you can choose from there. 60 Hz refresh rate. Your volume amplification levels are high. That's what I have mine on. You can set your grid and overexposure alerts. You can set wind noise reductions. If you put your grid on, you'll see your grid lines, which you can compose your shot with. Your focus mode, your overexposure alert is on the top left there, and you can even put your histogram on or off to check for your over or underexposed images, and your focus mode is there too. You can calibrate your gimbal on the next little icon. Don't have to worry about that unless your gimbal breaks. That little gimbal control has slow or fast follow, as well as all your modes, FPV mode, follow, and tilt locked. You can shoot in manual mode if you want to, in video or in photos or in any other mode. And this shows us that we're overexposed and we have to bring the shutter speed in line so we get that EV value at the bottom down to 0. That means we are correctly exposed when it's 0 or around 0. Your video frame rate you can choose from. I shoot 2.7, 60 or 24 frames per second. If you want 4K, you can shoot that. I prefer 2.7K. It's a little quicker and it doesn't use as much data. 60 frames if you want to do slow motion on the video option. The next thing we need to discuss is this. It's the Bluetooth module slash Wi-Fi module. We just call it the Bluetooth module sometimes because you connect to it via Bluetooth. Once you've got your DJI Pocket powered on and you attach this, you have to buy this device separately, by the way. You connect your DJI Mimo app. Let me show you how to do that. Connect your wireless adapter to your Osmo Pocket, turn on Bluetooth on your phone, turn on your Osmo Pocket. Eventually it'll say device connected. It might take a little while. Connect, and now you wirelessly have it. You can get some cool cinematic shots like this. Press record after we've tracked ourselves and we can do a vlog. How is it up, hanging up there? I'm connected to you via this Bluetooth adapter. How's your day going, Mr. Osmo? C stands for cinematic settings and pro mode. How do you set that up? Why do you need cinematic settings? What should you shoot on? Try say that 10 times. What should you shoot on? I'm not going to go too into depth, but you want to keep your frame rate at 25 frames per second. That's generally what people do for cinematic, and then keep your D-Cine-like on. D-Cine-like allows you to get more cinematic-like settings. I shoot in 2.7K myself, and this is what you can get. D stands for disable face tracking. A lot of people don't like it when the Osmo Pocket tracks their face. There is a way to disable it so that you can get more in your frame, so that you can push your Osmo Pocket in any direction you want. Have a look at how to do it right now. Continuously tries to track my face. This is really annoying, but you can get rid of it using FP FPV mode. So to enable FPV mode, swipe up and you'll see bottom right corner. Just keep clicking until you see FPV. That's the one you want. Now I could talk about this container and say it's an insecticide container and it's got all kinds of poison inside of it. But I could show you this container while still being in the vlog and having no face tracking. That's pretty useful. E stands for external microphone. Why do you need one of these things? Why is it important? And how do you actually set it up on your Osmo Pocket? Have a look at this example video. This is the external microphone adapter. It's kind of expensive, but it is worth it getting. If you have your Osmo Pocket, all you need to do is plug that in on the bottom, and now you can mount an external microphone. Let me show you what that looks like. So at this point, I have an external microphone connected to my Osmo Pocket. It's set up using this little Coldshoe rig, which I've shown you in my other videos. This is the PGYTech Coldshoe universal adapter. It connects to the Osmo Pocket and it allows me to use an external microphone. Do you see that? Connected to a lavalier mic up here. So let me show you what the sound would sound like with or without these two adapters. This is the sound coming out of the Osmo Pocket, the standard speakers. I'm trying not to cover any of the speakers to make this a fair test, but this is the default sound you'd get. There's a snake down there. Pretty weird. This is the sound you'd get using the RODE Wireless Go. You could now put your Osmo Pocket almost anywhere and walk away from the camera and your sound should still be pretty good. In fact, it doesn't really matter how far I go, because you could walk up to the camera and you could say, hello everybody, how you doing? I'm filming this on the Osmo Pocket. Just quickly, if you want to set the volume levels, click on the top left and you'll see there's a volume level on the bottom right corner. Click that. I'll set mine to 16 decibels today. I think that's good enough. Your sound should be pretty good. I mean, you've got to imagine the ocean behind me or something epic. Hello Osmo Pocket. Do you feel at risk up there? I would if I were you and I was holding you. F stands for follow or FPV mode. I wanted to discuss the difference between these two and when you should use either. Right now I'm set to follow mode. As you can see, pretty much when I go down, the gimbal head follows me. If I go up like that, it pretty much follows your wrist in most directions. Although, if you look at the x-axis, which is this axis, it tries to maintain it as much as it can. It doesn't want to move away from that x-axis. You can go down on the y-axis, you can go up on the y-axis, but anything on the x-axis it tries to maintain. That's follow mode. This is FPV mode. It's set using your DJI Mimo app like this. On the left gimbal icon you'll see your modes. FPV mode gives you more of an immersive perspective when you're using your Osmo Pocket. It's kind of like it goes wherever you want it to go. Is it locking the x-axis anymore? No. It's definitely not. It goes in almost any direction. G stands for gimbal setting. It's really important. Slow or fast follow. I've set it to fast follow. I don't know if you can notice how quickly the gimbal head is moving. As soon as you move your fingers, it pretty much goes there. If I set that to slow follow mode using the app or your device, you'll see how much slower it reacts. Hyperlapse. How do you set up an hyperlapse with this thing? What's the difference between hyperlapse and time lapse? Let me show you on the DJI Mimo app. Think of a hyperlapse as like a motion lapse, except you're adding movement to the scene. We're going to try to do a hyperlapse using that old shed over there. I think that old shed needs to be hyperlapsed. So in the DJI Mimo app, make sure you're on hyperlapse on the right, then active track your object. You can set the speed on the bottom left. I've just set it to 5 times because I want to do a quick one because this video is really long as it is. Then walk towards your object slowly. The slower the better. But look what happens. And this is what we get. Not the nicest hyperlapse, but just for illustration purposes. ISO is actually all about the sensitivity of your image sensor to light. You might have seen different photographs where it tells you this was filmed at ISO 100 or ISO 300. That is your ISO. So at the moment I'm in a slightly darker environment, and if you look at my Osmo Pocket, it's set the ISO to 1600. You might see that there's a little bit more noise in the image. It still looks relatively sharp. 200, 800 is not enough to keep this scene bright enough. Let's put it to 1600. That looks okay, but let's just show you if I go up to the max 3200, that's really bright, but it starts introducing noise into your image eventually. Hey, we're on J. J stands for joystick controller. Can you see that? That is the joystick controller for the Osmo Pocket. Basically slots in to that little slot, the port in the front of the Osmo Pocket. This little dial gives you a little bit more control using your pan and your tilt functions on your Osmo Pocket. The problem is it's not in a conventional joystick that goes sort of in a 360-degree motion. It's got an up and down only. So there's a little lever or switch that you have to actually switch left and right. And there's a little thing for left and right, and there's one for up and down. Well done, DJI, for a well-designed product over there. The interesting thing about this joystick is there's a little button on the left-hand side, and clicking that will actually switch it. There we are in tilt locked. There we are in FPV mode and follow mode. So the left button does that. The right button, clicking that once, will switch it around. The less gas you give this thing, the slower it goes, which gives you really cinematic shot. K stands for kit, right? So when you buy the Osmo Pocket, you don't get much, which is a marketing thing. They want you to buy more things, right? But you need these extra adapters to... No, really, we're not filming a video or anything. In your own time. You get the wireless module, which is pretty useful. I've shown you this in the previous. You get the control wheel, which we just spoke about, and you also get this little adapter which goes around your Osmo Pocket. I would also suggest you get a clamp or something like this, which has the GoPro mount, which means you can use your adapter mount to mount this in different locations, anywhere you want. It's made by Sony. If you want the code, it's Sony VCT-CM1. Not sure if they make these anymore, but I'm sure you can find something similar. The next thing I suggest you get is the microphone adapter. Oh man, you're going to spend a lot of money on this. And the third thing I suggest you get is this PGYTech Coldshoe adapter, which allows you to mount... There's the bird again. The PGYTech Coldshoe adapter, which allows you to mount an external microphone, and it's got one of those little GoPro mountings. L stands for long exposure motion lapse. This is one of the best features of the Osmo Pocket, and it's one of the coolest effects you can get. Motion lapse, especially at night time, using long exposure and this little camera, give you great results. Have a look at this and how you can do it. Make sure you have your Osmo Pocket attached to a tripod or something decent, something sturdy that's not going to have any vibrations. Things first, you want to be in manual shooting mode. I'm in the photo on the right, and you can see I'm going to manual, and I'm going to set it to 1 second shutter speed and do a test photo, and let's see how it comes out first. That's a little dark, so we continue. We try a 1.3 second shutter speed, and we just see how that goes. We do a test photo and we see how it comes out. It's always good if you see a car coming past. Here comes a car. Let's do a test. Click the shutter button quickly. Allow 1.6 seconds on that one. Looks really good. So now we're ready to do the time lapse. You can always do some test time lapses for a few seconds, but let's go and show you using the snapshot. You can see my interval is every 3 seconds, and every 1.6 seconds I'm going to be taking a photo. My duration is 10 minutes on this time lapse. So let's add the different paths. You push your camera to the starting point and you add, I'm in time lapse mode, you add a path, and then you move the camera over, you click the little blue icon, and then you carry on going until you're happy with the start and end points or the waypoints of your time lapse. Then you click the record button and you wait 10 minutes. It looks really good with the cars flashing past, and we're on M at the moment. M stands for motion lapse, a little bit similar to the last one, but have a look at how you can set this up. So here's an example of what you can do using the app and the wireless modules. All you need to do is click on time lapse, click and add 4 different paths on the top. 1, move your camera slightly to the right, click the little blue plus, move your camera more to the right, and continue until you've added 4 points. Then you just have to click record, but you sometimes get pretty cool effects. N stands for ND filters. Very important for your Osmo Pocket. Why are they important? Because they give us that cinematic look. How do we get a cinematic look? We need to follow a 180-degree shutter rule, which means if you're shooting in 24 frames per second, ideally you want your shutter speed to be like double that, so it's 1/50 shutter speed. Problem is the Osmo Pocket has a fixed aperture, so you cannot change that. The only thing you can change is your ND filter, and that's what I'm going to show you right now. So remember the rule, we need to get it to double our frame rate, but let's go to manual mode. As soon as I click the M button and I take my shutter speed to 1/50, which is what we want for 24 frames per second, watch what happens. It blows it up white. So what are we going to do now? We need to use an ND filter. I put an ND16 filter on. We can see the exposure value is perfect. It's 0. Our shutter speed is 1/50. And we're shooting in manual mode. Now anything we shoot with the Osmo Pocket is actually going to be 100% correctly exposed. Whoa, where are we now?
You need to do the letter O.
O. O stands for object tracking. The Osmo Pocket is not only good at tracking faces, kind of good at tracking faces, it's also good at tracking objects. Let me show you some examples. As you can see, I've got some weed killer product on the front of me. All I need to do is track that. The Osmo Pocket will do its thing. Moving this around, the Osmo Pocket will actually track this object. Why would you ever want to do that? Well, you can get some cool effects in your videos. You could do things with drinking glasses. You could do things where a mobile phone is held up to your face. P stands for portrait mode. If you use Instagram, you probably want to know how to do portrait mode. All you need to do is switch the Osmo Pocket like that, and it shoots a portrait. Pretty useful stuff. Right now I'm recording something for Instagram in portrait mode. That's pretty useful, I'd say. Q stands for quality. How do you get the best quality out of your Osmo Pocket? Have a look at my screen at the moment. I personally like to shoot in 2.7K, primarily because it doesn't fill your memory card up as quick, so you can shoot for much longer. But generally, 24 frames per second, 2.7K. Make sure you set it to super fine, which does heat up your Osmo Pocket a little bit, but I have never had a problem with the thing overheating or turning off. You can shoot in 4K, but just remember, you can't shoot for as long. There's more information being kept for every single pixel when you shoot in 4K. R stands for RIG, or really long selfie stick. This is really useful when you want to get some long type, drone type shots on your Osmo Pocket. This brand is the Telesin extremely long selfie stick, if you're wondering. Let me show you what you can do with it. There's one more. If you wanted to do a little bit of a drone shot on that window, select the window. As you can see, push record on your DJI Mimo app. Go down slowly, lift the camera up really slowly. And now what you need to do is walk very slowly to the left. In any video editor, speed it up 1.2. That's the speed, a little bit quicker. S. S stands for slow motion. Most people, when they shoot slow motion on their Osmo Pocket, they go to 1080p on the option. You've all seen that, it says slow motion. That's not the right way to do slow motion. The best way to do slow motion is to set it to 60 frames per second, 2.7K on your setting. It just looks better. You can even do 4K in 60 frames per second. It's not ultra slow motion or anything, but it looks nice and it makes your videos look really awesome. Make sure your frame rate is 2.7K, 60 frames per second. Very important. Auto exposure. In any video editing software, make sure you slow down the clip to 50%, 0.5, 25 to 29 frames per second when you render your movie. We can kind of call it time lapse or motion lapse as well. The cool thing about the DJI Mimo app, as you can see on the screen, is you can actually add 4 or 5 points by clicking that little path button. So you can move your joystick around, you can add a path, then you can move it a little bit further, add point 2. Okay, we're on U, we are getting there. U stands for update firmware. And I think, and if anybody knows anything about this, please leave a comment about this, but I don't think you can update your firmware while the wireless module is connected. And if I try and click the top right, it says network error. You need to update your firmware with your cable connected. DJI is always fixing small bugs. Every few months something comes out that makes your life a little bit easier. They probably fix a few bugs on the DJI Mimo app, which is important to update your DJI Mimo app every now and then as well, so you have the latest software. We're on V. V stands for vlogging tips. I just wanted to discuss something. This really long selfie stick that I spoke about earlier, it's the Telesin selfie stick. It only has two lengths, this length and really long. There's no in between. This is a Manfrotto monopod type thing, but it's got a couple little clips shot of about a meter away from you, and when you hold the Osmo Pocket at about that distance away, it gives you a great field of view. If you tuck the Osmo Pocket in between your arms, you can get dolly shots, Hollywood type dolly shots, which show the side of your face, and with a bit of practice and face tracking, you could actually make them look pretty cool, like this. Couldn't find anything for X and Y. If anyone watching this video can think of something related to the Osmo Pocket for X and Y, please leave a comment and I'll try and cover it. The last one is Z. Now most people can say, what are you going to use for Z? Zoom. Now you can't zoom with the Osmo Pocket, but you can do a little trick to actually appear like you're zooming. Let me show you how. This is an Andoer motorized dolly. I've covered this a lot in my other videos. It allows you to actually push into your subject. It's got a remote control. If you turn this on, notice how the one wheel turns. These two wheels are dead and they're static, but these two wheels can be put in almost any direction, so you can do B-roll. You can also do sort of zoom in shots. So if you face track an object or yourself or a character in your scene and you zoom into them using this method, it'll look like your Osmo Pocket is moving into the scene.
Hey, how-to guy.
Oh, sorry. Are we done yet?
Yes, good job.
Man, that was mentally exhausting.
Oh yes.
I really hope we get some subscribers from this video. Thanks, we really appreciate all the support on this channel. If you like it, please subscribe and see you again next time.